Hi, a friend and viewer of the channel asked me if I'd do a quick review of the bushcraft knife I use. So that's what this is going to be about. He's from Brazil, so I'm going to say hi to him in Portuguese, and then the rest of the video will be in English. Ricardo, você me pediu que eu fale sobre minha faca e perdoa que não posso fazer tudo vídeo em português, mas não falo bastante. These are the three knives that have been in my pack the most. One is a Schrade Survival Extreme. It's a foot long, 7.25 inch blade. I do not know what the steel is. I bought it second hand, so I know very little about it. This is a cold steel Voyager folder. It's VG1 stainless steel. This takes a really great edge, but it doesn't hold it for very long. So it's not suitable for the heaviness of the tasks in bushcrafting, and it doesn't hold an edge long enough. So that's why I've ended up with the BCNW 01, and that's what I'll be doing the review on. When I was deciding what knife to get for bushcraft, I was clear that I did not need one that was suitable for self-defense or throwing or cutting through seat belts. I needed one for carving and bushcraft chores. So the characteristics I wanted, first of all, were that it be a Scandi grind, single bevel. My rationale for that is that it's the easiest to keep consistently sharp in the field because you're only working with one bevel, and it's very easy to work with a water stone, which is my preferred way of sharpening. The second characteristic I wanted was a stout blade. This blade is a little over 1/8 of an inch, moving toward 3/16, so it's plenty stout. It has a full tang, no pommel, so it's stout enough for what I want to use it for. I wanted also a short blade. This one is about 3 3/4 inches by 7/8 of an inch, a little more than 7/8 of an inch wide. And the reason for wanting a shorter blade is it's much easier to manipulate in carving than is a longer blade like this. It also means that I have less to sharpen. In this case, probably about 4 inches total length instead of 7 1/4 inches total length, for example. And I didn't want the extra weight of a lot of blade length that I would not use. For steel, the steel I settled on was 01, which is a high carbon steel, and I wanted high carbon because it does take a good edge, and it's very good for using with a ferro rod. I needed a handle that works well in my hand and doesn't become slippery when I'm cold and wet and tired, or when it gets wet. This is a compressed bamboo, and it has a nice, it's comfortable to hold and work with. It has as a nice feature this little cutout on both sides of the handle so that I can get a side grip that's a good steady grip. It's not tiring to work with, and so far it's been very durable. I was a little concerned in the beginning with the Puko style handle with no finger guard here, but so far I have never cut, slipped or cut my hand because of slippage. Never have slipped up like that. So I no longer have concerns about that. Another feature, which is pretty common in bushcraft knives, is a 90-degree edge on the top, a squared off edge, which makes it easier to work with a ferrocerium rod and also easier for things like scraping bark. So I sharpen this or flatten this when I sharpen the blade, the cutting edge. Now, the fact that I had very specific requirements for the knife related to bushcraft means that it is not as good as other knives for other purposes. It's not as light to carry and inobtrusive to carry as a pocket knife. It's also not particularly good because it's too wide for skinning small game and cleaning fish. And of course, it's definitely not a self-defense or tactical knife. But for the purposes for which I wanted a knife, this has turned out to be a very good choice for me. I've been using this pretty heavily for the last 2 days, and the edge is still pretty good. Now, one thing this knife does well, despite the fact that I have 6 major dings in the edge, is that I can make the small curlicues that I use for igniting a fire by just using the rounded edge, the front edge, and making little short thumb strokes. I hope you can see the little curlicues. I do that because I have a flat surface on which to rest my knife, my ferro rod, and the little curlicues catch a lot faster than the big shavings do. And then finally I want to talk about the sheath. This has been out in the rain and dirt for a couple of days, so it's pretty messy. It cleans up very easily. It's all leather with the outline of the blade sewn in, plus this extra amount, and has room for a fire steel army model ferrocerium rod, single belt loop. However, with these two tabs, these two holes in the sheath, you can also carry it horizontally if you wished on your belt. So that's the knife. It's made by Bushcraft Northwest. It's called the BCNW 01, and I recommend it with no reservations at all for bushcrafting. So that's my brief knife review. I hope it's useful. I hope you'll check it out. It's on the Bushcraft Northwest site, And for my friend Ricardo, até logo.